Hey guys, Dr. Stephanie here, and today we're talking about plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had pain in the bottom of your foot here, especially in your heel, maybe right kind of at the base of your heel, that usually gets worse when you're walking barefoot or when you first wake up and step out of bed in the morning. Maybe you have a sharp pain there and you feel like you can't even take another step because you have so much pain. That's what plantar fasciitis is. The plantar fascia is a thick band of tissue that goes from the heel down to the toes, and it really doesn't stretch, but it covers all those muscles on the bottom of the foot. And if it gets inflamed or irritated from maybe walking barefoot too much or just overuse from a lot of running or a lot of walking, then it can be really painful. And the key to treating it is not just stretching. A lot of people think, oh, I can just stretch it out. But if you do a lot of stretching, it probably won't go away. The key to getting rid of it is working on mobility in your ankle and in your foot and even in your toes, because you want everything to work properly, and building strength in and around that area. So strength in the bottom of your foot, strength in your ankle, strength in your toes, even strength in your entire leg. You want to build hip stability and balance so that excess stress is not put on your foot when you're walking around. So I'm going to go through some exercises today that will really help you get rid of that plantar fasciitis. And then once you get rid of it, these will help prevent it from coming back by keeping everything strong and mobile. So what we're going to do is start down here on the mat or on the floor. And working on toe mobility is super important. You want, especially this big toe, you want it to be able to move. So if you lift it up off the floor and it hardly goes, maybe it feels really stiff or really stuck, then you really need to work on that mobility. It really needs to be able to come up off the ground pretty high, because that helps with running and walking. And if it doesn't move, that puts excess stress on other structures around it. So that can cause plantar fasciitis, that can cause other ankle and foot injuries. So we're going to start by stretching that out. So I want you to get in a hands and knees position and kind of curl your toes under. So the bottom of your toes should be on the ground. And from this position, you're just going to rock back as far as you can, getting a stretch on especially that big toe, but the other toes as well. Hold for a couple of seconds and then come back forward. So you're just going to rock back and come back forward. And you want to do this 10 or 15 times. You can hold for a little bit longer each time if you want to. Just really getting a good stretch in that big toe, getting that to move like it should. And once you've done 10 or 15 of those, then you're going to come up into kind of a half kneeling position here. And we're going to work on some ankle mobility. So your ankle needs to move too, especially in dorsiflexion. And dorsiflexion is where your foot comes up towards your knee. So a lot of people are stiff there. And you can find out if you're stiff, do a squat. See if you can squat all the way down to the floor without your heels lifting up off the ground. Or you can be like this too and see how far forward your knee can go. And if it can't go that far, you're probably stiff there. So we're going to work on some ankle mobility because we need our toes to move, but we also need our ankles to move. So you're just going to lean forward as far as you can, keeping that heel on the ground. So you make sure you get a stretch in your calf and in your ankle in the proper places. Pause for a second or two and come back. Just lean forward here, pushing that knee forward and coming back. And you want to do 10 or 15 times. Just really getting a good stretch there, making sure to keep your heel on the ground. And then from there, we're going to stay in this position and do a little strengthening. So from here, you're just going to lift your heel up off the ground. And this is going to work on the soleus muscle. So the calf muscles are here. You have the gastrocnemius, which is the big calf muscle back here. And then you have the soleus muscle, which is slightly lower down here and smaller than the gastrocnemius. That's the muscle that works to do this motion with your knee bent. That muscle is super important. It provides a lot of force while you're running. And so if you're a runner, it's important, but it's important for everyone too, because if it's strong, less stress is placed on your Achilles tendon and on your foot and ankle and everything. So you want to do about 15 to 20 of these. Just lifting up and down. You can hold on to something if you need to. And then from here, we're going to do one more in this position. Grab some kind of ball, and we're going to use this ball for a couple other things. But grab a ball or just some kind of object. Place it by the outside of your foot, and you're just going to rotate your foot over the ball and then rotate it back. So we're working on foot eversion, and that's going out to the side, and foot inversion. And you don't want your knee to move a whole lot. You want it all to come from your foot. You actually don't have to have the ball here, but it just kind of gives a landmark. So you're keeping your heel down and just rotating your foot in and rotating your foot out. So just back and forth here. Just getting that ankle moving in and out. So you want to do about 10 or 15 times in and out. And then we're going to go ahead and stand up. And like I said, we're going to use this ball again. So this ball is from Naboso, and it's a special ball. You can do a lot of things with it, but it has all these little spikes on it. And this texture is specifically made to kind of wake up the nerves in the bottom of your foot. And it really stimulates your foot. So it helps massage your foot out. It helps loosen up the structures on the bottom. So all of those muscles that are tight, it helps loosen them up, but it also stimulates the nerves at the bottom of the foot to kind of wake them up and get if you're having any pain, get that area feeling better. It also kind of stimulates blood flow, so it can kind of stimulate healing to that area. So what you can do is just roll back and forth on it. You can put as much pressure as you want to or as you're comfortable putting. Just back and forth. And you'll see it doesn't hurt. The spikes aren't hard. They're pretty soft, but you can still feel them. But just kind of waking up those nerves, improving that blood flow. You just want to do that for about 30 seconds to a minute. Just back and forth. And you can pause at different points. You can just pause like at the ball of your foot or at your heel. Just put a little extra pressure through there. Just back and forth. Back and forth. This ball is cool too because it comes apart. So you can, if I can get it, you can pull it apart here, and you can use the two halves for different things. I'll show you. There's also a smaller ball inside. It's pretty small. You can use that for kind of a deeper tissue massage. So you can stand on that, kind of find a spot that's tender in your foot and your heel, and just put some pressure on there, and that just kind of digs deeper into there and feels good. You can also use these half balls. You can use them for the same way for some massage, just kind of step on it and put some pressure through it. You can also do some exercises. I like to put it on my heel and lift my foot up. It's also important to work on the anterior tibial muscles, so the muscles right in the front. So you lift your foot up. You can do 15 to 20 of those. You can also put it on kind of right below your toes, and you can lift your heel up, or you can work on curling your toes and extending your toes. That works on a little bit of toe strength there. Just like that. And then let me put the ball back together. For the next exercise, we're going to place this ball right between our ankles. And there's a muscle called the posterior tibialis that runs along the inside of your ankle and goes underneath your foot, and that helps support the arch. So that muscle is important because if it's not strong, then your arch can kind of collapse, and that can put more pressure on the bottom of your foot, on the plantar fascia. So by putting a ball between your ankles and doing a calf raise, just lifting up, we're working on calf strength, but we're also working on that posterior tibialis strength. So that can help support the arch. So that's important. I would work on 15 to 20 of these, just nice and slow, up and down, making sure you're squeezing that ball between your ankles there. And then we will put this ball down. And then we want to make sure that we're progressing our exercises, making them a little bit harder as we get stronger. So for the last exercise, you're going to grab a towel, roll it up, and you're going to place your toes up on it because you want your toes to be elevated. You don't want them to be flat. You're just going to lift the other foot up, and you're going to do a single leg calf raise. So this works on calf strength, but because your toes are elevated, it's also working on stretching the structures on the bottom of your foot. So it works on that mobility while you're working on strength, and that helps take the stress off the plantar fascia. So 15 to 20 of those. And if you're experiencing this on both feet, you can do all of these on both feet. If you're experiencing it on just one foot, you can do it on just that one foot, or you can do both as well, just as a preventative measure. But all of these exercises will help improve toe mobility, ankle mobility, and work on strengthening of the foot, ankle, and the whole lower extremity. So these will help get rid of that heel pain and hopefully get rid of your plantar fasciitis for good.